Check, 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 check. All right. Surprise. Let me fix this real quick. Let's get this out of the frame. Okay. And I'm going to get that chat out of here, I think. Pretty obvious I'm not in the studio right now. So we're going for the makeshift style. But yeah, we should be able to do this, make this work. So I'm using OBS on a home computer with none of my templates and everything in here. And I had to do this last minute. Last minute. Let me get my chat window up as well. Let's see. DJ Dan, I see you. Salute to you. D Cozy is in here. And Charlie Apple is here as well. Curtis was good. Five Mobile Sounds. DJ Kylo. Yes. Okay, I see y'all. That's working. So just a couple of adjustments I have to do. Because now I'm on a Mac on OBS. And some things I do on Windows that normally work perfectly don't work the same here. Which is kind of annoying. So like I said, I might just get rid of that chat, get it out of here. I mean, you can see the chat where you're watching. I'll just get my restream chat up in here. But if we're going to do that, then I should change the window size. What did I do? Did I lock everything? Oh, I locked everything. Let me give it one more try. Let me see what happens if we go here. I know. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can get that chat in its normal form. I do prefer to have my chat here. Oh, it's really... I think I'm messing up the shape of the chat like this. Okay, we'll get to that a little bit later. Maybe I'll do that while we're working this. Let me get one more thing in here just to make it look a little more like we're doing this officially. Let me get an image in here. Call that. Okay, how y'all doing out there? The reason I'm not in the studio is because I couldn't really make it over there. I mean, I would have to rush it, and we got sort of some stormy weather going on our side. And I was like, you know what? Let me see if I still have this old webcam. This is like a Logitech C615. Let me see if that actually works on an M1 Mac Mini. It does work, and I could even find some software that allowed me to change some settings in there so it doesn't look like completely terrible. And I have this Rode NT Mini USB microphone here, so I actually have a microphone here that can give you some pretty good audio. So this will work just fine for now. Naughty Boy, I see you, and Henry, I see you too. Sweet Dax, I see you. Salute. Nighthawk is here as well. So I'm going to get to the questions in a sec. Let me just fix one more thing. Why is this not working? Oh, that's because I'm already in a browse window. Logos. Share the knowledge. Share the knowledge. Share the knowledge. Let's see. Share the knowledge. Where's the normal STK? Where's that at? I want to have a logo on screen just to make this more official. Yeah, let's go for this one. Not even the logo. Let's just go for that hashtag. Yeah. And of course, we're not going to use it this size. That is way too large. So let's adjust that for a second. And yes, I'm just doing that live on screen. I'm not even going to go to do that in a separate window. We'll just do that here. Let me make it even bigger. Bang. Okay, so everybody knows what time it is. Share the knowledge. This is all about answering your questions. So the last thing I'll do now is just put my Restream chat app here so I can have your questions front and center. The audio is good for y'all, right? I mean, it looks perfectly fine here. I'm monitoring my audio through the microphone, so I'm not listening through a computer. And this seems to be working just fine. Excuse me. Had to miss y'all last week for my crates live stream and my Share the Knowledge live stream. I couldn't go to the studio then, and I could not do my mix or Share the Knowledge live at home either. I was in quarantine. The Rona finally caught up to me, thanks to my kids, because like all the kids in school are getting it. So finally got it, but the Omicron is a light version. I mean, it didn't affect me, but you have to go into quarantine. So I couldn't go to my studio for over a week. And now I'm back. So yeah, I did my crate stream on Monday. That was a lot of fun. Still had Ref 7 here. Had a lot of fun with that one. I should have it here for a couple more weeks. Then I have to send it back to Pioneer for a minute, and hopefully I can get it back even longer after that because I just fell in love with that controller. But let's start with some questions here. And by the way, I just posted, some of you have already seen it. I just dropped a new breakdown video on YouTube. So after the live, if you want to go check that out, another tutorial where I describe how to do one of my scratch patterns from the Saturday Sessions videos. I took a pattern that has like a transformer scratch in there. So that is up now, and I'll have a lot more of those. I want to do those consistently. So I want to give y'all at least one, maybe two a week of those. I mean, they're short videos. They don't take me that long to make and edit. So I want to give you the most that I can. All right. And Chris on the mix, just watch the breakdown video. Yes. All right. I saw some questions already. Let's get to that first question right now. Where was it? Nara, salute to you. I see you as well. And if I missed anyone in the shout outs, hopefully I'll catch you in a minute. Mixmaster G, salute to you. I see you as well. And. Okay, can you export your settings to a cloud account and import them for times like this? I think there is an option to do that. I haven't tried it, and it's something I should definitely try. So if there's any OBS experts in the chat right now, can you export the settings on one computer from OBS? And I mean, I could try to find out myself here now, but maybe someone knows. So for instance, let's say you have OBS in your studio and you have all of your scenes and everything in there. Can you export that to just import that into OBS on a different computer? I would expect that there's an option or a way to do that, but I haven't tried it yet. And yes, that would have helped me out a lot, because then I could have just opened OBS and had my settings. And now I had none of my settings here. So I really had to start with like a blank slate. I've never even opened OBS on a Mac before. I just did that like 10 minutes before I started the stream. DJ Rems, thank you for letting me know. And there's Chinese characters in the overlay chat. Wait. What? Hold up. Oh, wow, that looks weird indeed. Maybe that's because I tried to change the format. And normally on Windows, it will actually just scale that nicely. And that did not happen here. Wow, that looks weird. Yeah, you're right. So you know what? Boom. Just going to take that out. Because I have you on a separate window so I can see the chat, so I'll just go off that. So we'll make this one a little bit bigger, even though it's that webcam quality. We don't really want that bigger. Well, let's just do that. Let's get this a little more centered then. Perfect. We have a setup. Okay. I actually want to change this one a little bit too. Have that centered more. Cool. If there's anything else that happens, just let me know, so I can see in the chat. So if there's anything weird happening, just let me know in the chat. Let's see. So I asked you about not always dropping on the one. Do you have more examples of that? I find it difficult to find sometimes the end of 4 or just the 4. Difficult to find the 4 or the end of 4. I mean, if you can follow the count in a song, So if you know where the 1 is, then you should be able to also know where the 2, the 3, and the 4 are. So I'm not sure. So, I mean, we've talked about this before. So if I have a track and it has a beginning that doesn't just start with a beat. A lot of times when a song starts, it's pretty clear that it's just starting on a 1. Sometimes you can just tell by the way the song starts, either with like a couple of strange drums or maybe some sounds, and then the beat begins, and you know, like, okay, that's the 1. Then you have to figure out how long that part before the 1 is so you can like calculate when you have to bring it in. If you choose to bring it in from that intro part, you could also say, you know what, never mind the drum sounds and whatever else is in the beginning. After that beginning part, the beat begins. There's a 1. I'm just going to start it from the beat and start it on the 1. I like to do both. So, for instance, on Monday during my stream, I had at a certain point I played "Lovesick" by Gangstar. "Lovesick" by Gangstar starts with like a sort of a drum roll intro. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but you have like a couple of snares, like a little snare intro, and then the beat comes in, and that's the 1. And if I want to find out when I have to bring that in, I'll just cue it in the headphones. The other track is playing, and at first, I'll just take that intro part and I'll just let it go on the 1 and see at what count the beat begins. And sometimes you're lucky and that intro is nicely quantized in time. So in this case, it actually was. I think it was just a 2 count thing. Tak, kadakadum, boom, and then it begins. So that's 1, 2. So that makes it really easy to start it. But sometimes you have like Jay Dilla type of productions and snares might not be really on the 2 and the 4, and then it becomes more difficult to hear. But to be honest, it's not that easy for me to just give examples without actually having music playing. So maybe we should just do that in a separate video. Or maybe I'll take some time during one of my next Crates episodes to just break something down maybe before I do my mixes, before I start the actual mix show. Let's see. But I don't really have a difficulty with finding like something like the 4. If you have the count, so if a song is playing and you know where the 1 is, you can find the 1, then it shouldn't be that hard to find the 4. Because if you know where the 1 is, then it's just a simple fact of counting until you get to the 4. Coming up in the ranks of DJing, what was the hardest thing to break through? Great question. That makes me think. By the way, I need to take this out of my peripheral view because I'm seeing myself here and now I'm seeing myself with a little delay on the side. Let me get that out the way. That's really distracting. Whoa, did I just take my restream chat down? What did I do? Hold up. Give me 1 second. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm not sure though about a hard thing about breaking through the ranks. You know, the thing is, like, when I started DJing, I didn't have a goal. It was never a goal of mine to say like, hey, I want to play at certain parties or I want to do this or that. I just fell in love with DJing. I wanted to learn how to DJ. At a certain point, I got a chance to actually play at an event. Once I was introduced to that, I fell in love with that, wanted to do that as much as possible. But even then, it wasn't like to become like a whatever bigger DJ or more famous. I really did not care about that. I just love DJing. And when I found out how it feels to play in an actual venue with larger speakers, so you can play louder than you can at home, and to have actual people there dancing, I caught the bug. Like, yeah, I want to do this more often. But even then, it was never like, okay, I'm playing at this like youth center now. How can I now play at bigger clubs? I never looked at it like that. A lot of things in my career just happened because I was just doing what I love to do. At a certain point, some people might see you or hear of you. I was making a lot of mixtapes and selling those, spreading those. So my name got around. And at a certain point, you get a call from someone who's doing a party in a larger venue and wants to book you there. But I don't know if there's a certain barrier that was hard to break through. What you do see sometimes, it never bothered me that much, but a lot of DJs will be familiar with the scenario where it's hard to become part of a scene in your town, in your city, because there's already DJs, they're all connected, and they're all friends. They hook each other up for each other's parties, you name it. And if you're not part of that scene, part of that clique, then it's really hard to get in there. Some DJs make it their goal to really suck up to any DJ within that scene to become part of it. I never did that either, but I was just part of the scene. I created my own lane and name just by doing what I did, and people took notice. And the hip hop scene was here, but especially, Amsterdam is not big. If you look at it on a global scale, it's not a big city. So, and hip hop during that time in the 90s, especially, hip hop was niche. It was like a subculture, and that scene is even smaller. So you do get connected with the people just by being a part of it. So yeah, it's hard for me to come up with something that I felt was like a barrier, and a barrier I needed to break through. But I understand the question for sure. Don Boy says, I just checked the breakdown, just uploaded. First transformer you did kind of reminds me of the 2-click flare. Probably because I'm doing the 2 short taps and then a longer tap, and with the flare you're also doing like the 2 clicks. The only difference is when you're doing a flare, you're starting with an open fader and you're closing, and with the transformer you're closed and you're opening. So it's the exact reverse. But I understand how it has how it has a feel like that, especially because of the pattern I use. Now, for the people who haven't seen the video, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, I understand. Let's see. All right, so Mixmaster G says, and that's a reply to the question about the not finding the 4 or looking for the 4. I like to do live mashups. If you use acapellas, then they seldom start on the 1, for sure. The first word is most of the time before the 1, for sure. That's the thing, and this is what a lot of people do wrong. If you start to work with acapellas, you really have to know the songs. You have to know exactly how that vocal is placed in the original track. It was one of the things I hated the most, is to hear DJs take one of your favorite songs and they would have the acapella, but they would drop the acapella on a wrong count. If you're familiar with the song and you have a little bit of feel for rhythm, so you're following the rhythm of the beat, and now all of a sudden you're hearing your favorite artist rap or sing, but it sounds as if they're singing off beat because the DJ dropped the vocal in the wrong spot. I could never stand that. Like I heard a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people who actually didn't even notice. That always shocked me a little bit. I've even seen it online on YouTube pretty recently. I forgot the name of the video, but it was someone who did like lo-fi remixes to very popular hip hop tracks. And some were fine, were on point and had like cool beats. I didn't like all of the remixes better than the original, but some were good. But at least 2 or 3 of them, the acapella was not placed correctly. But still the comments were all like fire emojis and it's so dope. And I'm like, yo, for real? If you know the song and the acapella is placed in a different spot, you should hear that something is off. But okay, yeah, if you're using acapellas, then you really need to know where the acapella begins. And like Mixmaster D says, like a lot of times people, when they sing or rap, they don't start on a 1. The beat will start on a 1, but either they've already started their vocal before the 1 or they come in after the 1. How do you explain to a parent why we charge, for example, $460 per hour for prom. I've been DJing for 2 years live in Georgia. Ooh, how to explain to a parent why we charge that? Yeah, I mean, great question. I don't really have an answer. I mean, I've been in the game quite a long time, and if there's one thing I know is that a lot of people do not give us the proper value. They don't value us for what we're worth. You can see that a lot of times when people have to organize an event and they're not used to that, the DJ or the music is like one of the last things they think about. They think about the venue, about the food, how they have to dress everything up, and then, oh yeah, we also need music. So you're like the last part of the budget. You know what it is? And I know that's not really going to help you. I just feel it's if I have to convince people of my worth, then I don't even know if it's worth doing it. I mean, of course, you can explain to them a little bit, like, yeah, how how to explain your worth. I mean, some people would go into the whole thing like I've practiced for so long to become this good. Invested all this money in my equipment and blah 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 blah. I don't really think people care too much about that because yeah, they just want to have a DJ for a party and they have no clue of how that works and your history or whatever. Ah, damn it. I wish I had a good answer for you for that. I'm just not in the habit of convincing people of my worth. If I have to spend more than a couple of minutes explaining that, then I don't think it's worth it. And I'm not gonna try to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. Because a lot of times also their goal is just to spend the least amount of money. Damn, if someone has a better answer, no, not a better answer, for people in the chat, if you run into this issue that you have to explain to people why you charge what you charge, how do you explain that? I'm actually really interested to know because it's something that I haven't done a lot. Like I've been lowballed plenty of times that people just come up with an offer and it's just way too low. And I never really explain. I just let them know, look, no, I charge between this and this. That's it. And if they don't feel that I'm worth that money, then they shouldn't book me. So I've never really done that. But yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see someone in the chat explain. So please do. I see Mixmaster G has an answer for the OBS, so I want to check that. But I have another question here first from Kazoo Gaming. Let's see. Do you miss the 90s, 2000s in terms of DJ jobs and performances live? Do you still travel abroad to perform vinyl mixing? The data today seems so huge. There's too much info. Well, I didn't travel abroad to perform that much. I've done gigs overseas, but not that many. So there's not a lot of difference there. Do I miss the 90s in terms of DJ jobs? I mean, there's a part of me, of course, that really, I mean, that it's my favorite era when it comes to the music, the hip hop and R&B that I play. Nothing beats like that 90s era to me. And during that time, that was definitely all that I was playing, and I really liked that. But then again, I mean, it's always like a revolving thing. Like certain things become more popular, also music-wise, genre-wise, and then you'll see more of this in the club, and then it'll be more of that. I've seen a lot of DJs that were in my scene that moved on to do house because house was so popping at the time at a certain point. But then when the whole EDM thing just started to go down again a little bit, I saw a bunch of DJs trying to come back to do like some sort of mix between like hip hop, dancehall, Afro beats because they see that's hot. I'm never one to like go with that flow. I just follow my own path. So in that regards, I don't really miss it because I still play that way, even though I add new music as well. But yeah, you know what it is? It also doesn't really help too much to linger because it's not the 90s or 2000s anymore. So I'd rather at certain points like reminisce and think back of good memories instead of like trying to compare too much. I see people do that a lot. Like anytime I go on YouTube and for instance, I just take a trip down memory lane and check some videos from like hip hop and R&B from the 90s. there's always a ton of people in the comments every time like, oh, these kids nowadays don't know what they're missing. This was the time for music. Nowadays, it's all blah, blah, blah. It's all bad. Yeah, I refuse to live that way because we are living in the now. And I can still listen to my old music, but there's also a ton of good music coming out now. So I don't want to linger and you just be stuck in that time. I had a lot of fun in the 90s and the 2000s, but I can still have fun now. Vinyl mixing, I don't really miss. I love doing that once a month during my live streams. I could not see myself taking 4 crates, 3 crates, and traveling with that anymore. That time is definitely over. I do not miss that at all. Let's be very clear about that. I do not miss everything surrounding vinyl mixing. It's a lot of fun to do every now and then, especially because I run into tracks from that era. But man, beyond that, I do not miss it at all. CT Entertainment, salute. I see you. And let's see. So okay, let's go into that OBS thing for a minute. On the macOS, you can take the OBS data from the application folder, distribute it to other accounts on that computer or other Macs. Yeah, no, that's not going to help me because it's not about other accounts. And in my case, it would be Mac and Windows. So I would have to see how I would make that work. Joseph, that's great to hear. And Ecstatius, I appreciate that follow. Curtis Cozy in the building. Salute. Leonzo, I see you. What's going on? And I'm going to answer your question. And oh wait. Let's see. I want to do a quick count. Let's see. You asked the question at 8:19. Let me see if you asked the exact same question. Okay, you asked the same question again at 25. So that's already twice in 6 minutes. So Leonzo, I'm going to answer your question now. So please pay attention because a lot of times you're repeating questions like way after I answered them. So let's get into your question. Brain, what up, man? Let's go. All right, can you give me some tips for reading the crowd for beginner DJs? Can you explain what the steps are for doing it? And do it start before you even start playing music? Yes, I can. And I do a lot. So I'm going to do that right now again. And yes, you can actually start reading the crowd before you start playing music. Look, the concept of reading the crowd is really simple. It is about looking at your crowd and listening to your crowd. And what you want to look for is how they react to the music you play. How they react tells you a lot about how they feel about the song you just introduced to them. Now, before you start playing music, when you go into a venue, you can already look at people. That's going to give you an idea. So, are they very young? Is this like an 18 to 25 crowd? Or are they 30 plus, or are they even older? It's not going to tell you everything, but age can already tell you something. You can probably tell by their style, at least it's going to give you an idea of what kind of crowd it is. Is it like a quote unquote urban crowd that would like hip hop and R&B? Is it more of a classy environment where they're into different types of music? I mean, of course, you're probably getting booked to play a certain style of music, but just looking at the crowd should give you an idea. Then you start to play music, and when you play your first song, you bring it in, you look at your crowd, and you listen. So if you can tell that you bring in that song and they continue to dance, that's a good sign. That means that they don't hate the song. Because you can play a song and they could actually stop dancing or be a little bit shocked because they're like, ooh, what's this? And maybe they'll be nice and continue to stay on the dance floor, but sometimes they'll actually just stop dancing and think like, oh, I don't know what this DJ is playing. You know what? I think it's time to go to the bar because I'm not dancing to this. That's an indication that they might not like what you're playing. Now, mind you, If you play a song and you see two people walk off the dance floor, that doesn't mean that your song isn't working. You have to look at the entire crowd. If most of the people are still dancing, that's a good sign. Now, I also said listen, because if you play a track and you bring it in and it's a song that the crowd really likes, chances are they're also going to let you hear it. You might hear some cheers. You might hear some oohs and ahs or ahs, like they'll really let you know that they're liking the song. The energy now goes up. People are more enthusiastic. The dancing becomes a little bit more ecstatic. So by looking at your crowd and seeing how they react to what you play, that is reading the crowd. That's basically all there's to it. And it can guide you, because if I play a track and I can tell, like, okay, they didn't really give me a lot of energy back. Maybe this is not their thing. Let me try something a little bit more, maybe a different genre, or maybe a little newer, or maybe a little older, but I'll try something a little bit different. If I bring that song in and I can tell, like, all of a sudden I get more of a reaction, that lets me know, like, okay, so you're more into this. And then I can play more of that. That's reading the crowd in a nutshell. Let's see. Smooth D, what up? Or like Nighthawk says, look for a head moving body movement, then follow the rabbit hole. Yep. Raise DJ, salute. Jers Mike, what up? Vinyl Touch, what up, what up? Let's see. Sweet Ducks, glad for giving me this advice. I have some songs as examples. Maybe you can use it. I'd like to hear more songs that doesn't start on the one. Maybe the next stream, yeah. And let me know about the examples as well. You're on YouTube right now. Drop some titles in the comments so I can check it out later. Kylo says, as a veteran DJ, would you judge other DJs who prefer to use PC instead of Mac? Judge them in what way? Because I do not see what the judgment would be. Because, I mean, I think I understand where the question comes from, because there is this myth that real producers, real graphic designers, real whatever industry standard is Mac, which is basically nonsense. It is, for the simple fact that both platforms will get the job done extremely well. Just to give you an example, if you watch my live streams on Monday, my DJ live streams, I'm streaming and DJing from a Windows computer. My first laptop when I first started my digital journey DJ was a Windows laptop. Then I got a MacBook. Then I had a Lenovo Windows laptop. Then I had a MacBook Pro. Then I had this Surface Book 1, Windows. Now I don't have a DJing laptop because this thing is too old, can't handle it. And in the studio, I'm on a Windows computer, streaming and DJing. Right now I'm in the studio at home, and I'm streaming through a Mac Mini with a webcam. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Now, it might be that you want to use specific software that's only available on one platform. For instance, if you want to use the conversion tools by Mixmaster G, you're going to need an Apple computer. Otherwise, you can't use them. If you want to use Algorithm DJ's Neural Mix, you're going to need an Apple, because they don't have the Windows version for that, et cetera, et cetera. But no, if you would judge a DJ off the computer platform they use, then you're thinking about the wrong things to judge a DJ. If I'm judging a DJ, it's from what I'm hearing and seeing. And I always see a question from Nara that we have to talk about because it's funny, which actually has to do with judging a DJ a little bit. But yeah, so no, I would never judge anyone for their computer preference. Charlie Apple for the love of the craft. Yes. DJ Do for Love, what up? I try to figure out by scratching how to change BPM from, let's say, 90 to 100 from one track to another. Do you have practical examples of how to practice this? So by scratching, I think you probably mean just by dropping it on the one, right? So going from a track that's 90 to a track that's 100. Is that what you mean? Let me know that in the chat before we continue. So let me know what you meant by that. Because there are ways to do it, to change a BPM a little bit more drastically, even though 90 to 100 there's a difference. It's not that drastic yet, but there are ways to work with that. So let's get to that question real quick. Nara just mentioned it. Did you see the post by Cleveland Terry of him pointing out a DJ on TikTok playing a pre-recorded mix pretending it was live? It went viral and Rob Swift called out the BS. What are your thoughts and have you seen it? So yes, I've seen it. Here's the only thing. Yeah, pre-recorded. It wasn't a pre-recorded mix in total. Yes, it was a totally edited set, but at a certain point, like I think when he starts with the Eminem acapella and does the little scratch to bring it in, I thought that was real. The thing where it just went south for me is all of the fake cue point actions. So you could see when you saw the wave file moving. So for the people who haven't seen, there's a DJ who does like routines, mashup routines, and a lot of times these are edited that you'll hear like 4, 5, 6 beats and a couple of different acapellas over it. Concept is fun, but the whole thing is in a sense pre-recorded. The edits are there, so you don't have to do a lot to make that work. So in a sense, he could have just let the 2 tracks play and do nothing, and it would have worked. What he did was he would press Q to go into the next beat, but that next beat was already there. So you could see if you watch the wave file that at the exact time that he pushes the Q point, there is an actual Q point there in the wave file. But the point is, if he didn't press the Q point, it would still switch exactly at that point. So the Q point pressing, yeah, it wasn't actually doing anything because the track was already edited to switch there. So basically you're faking your cue point action. But to be fair, he could have just had the edit open and that he needed to press it to go to the next beat. And he would have pressed it at that exact same point and then it would have also worked. Yeah, I mean, if when we're already at the point that you're basically just using totally edited tracks, then there's not a lot going on, of course. Now, the faking cue point part, I don't think he does that in every video because I've seen like a couple of other videos where it didn't seem to be the same thing. But in this case, you could just like clearly tell because you were looking at the wave file. So you could see like, okay, you're pressing it and nothing happens. No, that's because you're pressing something to go to a cue point, but that cue point is exactly where the track already is. Yeah, so I understand. I mean, Rob Swift went in. And yeah, I understand. They also kind of went at DJ City for a little bit for posting it. And I think maybe they could have checked that a little bit better, but I don't know who checked it before it was posted. And I don't know how much time goes in. The funny thing is I saw it. And I mean, I work with DJ City. Normally, I just like their posts just as support. I didn't check that entire video. I just saw the first couple of seconds. And something in me said, don't like this. And I didn't like it. And then I saw Cleveland's Terry's post. Then I went back and checked it. I think what bothers a lot of people is more of the cheesy acting around it. Like the overacting that the DJ is doing, which bothers DJs when they see it because they're like, dude, you're really acting out as if a lot is happening when we can see that you're not doing a lot. But beyond that, I don't waste too much time on it. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to act up about it. I understand Rob Swift, but I definitely prefer Cleveland Terry's approach. That one made more sense to me instead of that whole story of like, all these DJs faking it, and I mean mistakes are part of the thing and you should be doing it real. I understand. I just like Cleveland's approach better. Like just seeing that DJ and then seeing his face, like because that says enough. Like you're like, what was that? All right. On and on with Chris on the mix. Have you had moments when you wanted or thought about quitting being a DJ? No, no, not quitting. I have done gigs that made me question if I wanted to do those types of gigs because those gigs made me not like what I was doing. How can I explain? At a certain point, I was doing some corporate gigs, and these are well-paid gigs. So these gigs would pay 3, 4, 5. I would go as far as to say like could pay like 6 times as much as my club gigs. So from a financial perspective, those were really dope. Like you play that gig and you see a lot more money coming into your bank account than you see with normal club gigs. The thing is, I wasn't booked to be me. I was booked to be a DJ who did what needed to be done at those events. Those corporate events a lot of times are just for the company. The person I was doing this for was in contact with companies that would have like employees from anything between 20 and 80. And then all of a sudden they have a Western influenced theme where they're having dinner first and you're playing music in the background, playing like old country music. And then it's time to party after that. And like I said, if you got people from 20 to 80 who all like different types of music, you never have like a full, I mean, unless you play certain music that I don't play, you never have like a full crowd enjoying what you're doing. So during the event, I was already feeling like, damn, now it feels like a job and not like fun. And I don't mind work. That's not what I mean. But I got into this for the passion I have for it. Those were the first gigs that made me feel like, oh, I didn't like what I was doing today. So even though they paid a lot better, I realized if I continued to do those gigs, I would probably stop loving DJing. And then all of a sudden, it becomes just a job. And that's not what I'm in for. So, no, I've never had a thought of like, I don't want to DJ no more. But I did feel like certain types of jobs made me unhappy. And I never want to feel unhappy when I'm doing something I love this much. Smydro, what up? For the people that are new, I'm now at a comment that is placed in the chat at 2024, and we are at 2049. So understand that I'm like 20, 30 minutes behind while I'm doing this. That's because I take time to answer questions. At the same time, you're dropping new stuff. So be patient with me. Nighthawk says, ever use DJ language in everyday life? Example, I count bars in a class I take. I don't know. No, I'm not sure. I have to think about that one. Let's see. Vinyl Touch says most acapellas, if gridded correctly, would have a 1 that you can cue. Maybe it'd be dead space. If you really know the song, then you can scratch drop based on lyrics and nudge accordingly. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You could like cue it on that dead space and then the vocal would start at the right point. But no, I've never done that. I'll take that first part of the vocal and I'm going to bring that in. And if I have to bring that in for the 1, I'll bring it in before the 1. If it's after the 1, after the 1. Just because if I'm doing something in a cappella, I make sure I know when the vocal is supposed to begin. Carolina Sneakerhead, 803 was good. Is it possible to go from a 111 BPM track to a 65 BPM track without doubling the tempo? What are your methods for such a transition? I'm playing hip-hop R&B. If I'm doing a transition and we're dealing with a BPM difference, that's pretty substantial. I mean, even if you would double, you're talking about that 65 would be a 130. So 111, 130 is still a big difference. So in that case, I'm not trying to mix. That's the one thing I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to mix. Either I'm just going to drop it on a 1, But with a large BPM difference, you don't just want to drop it on the one. You most likely want to stop the other track either with an echo or something, or even just take it down, say something through the mic, and then bring in the new track. You could take it a step further, and if you're playing that 111 BPM track, get an echo ready, but set the tempo of the echo to the 65 BPM track. So you're cueing that 65 BPM track on your headphones. You get the echo ready for the other track, but then you, if the mixer or controller you use allows you to do that, you tap according to the 65 BPM so that the echo that you're going to activate has the tempo of the new track. There are tricks to do that, but I'm not attempting a mix in that case. Henry says, I'm a beginner and I would like to know what record pools you or the chat think are best for R&B and hip hop. So chat, let's go. Drop your favorites. I actually I posted something from DJ City today because they have a new pricing plan for first time subscribers. You can like join for a month for $10, and after that you pay more. But a couple different payment plans, and then someone dropped like a comment saying like that was the biggest waste of money. So I just asked like, hey, why? Because he said they didn't have enough music. So I just asked like, why? Was it a genre? And what you see a lot of times also when it comes to the questions here is people are looking for record pools with throwbacks. Not everyone, but a lot of people, when they look for record pools, they're looking for record pools with old school music. And for quite some time, you had a bunch of record pools that would kind of fulfill that, even though it's not legit. You can tell that certain record pools are legit. I mean, DJ City is legit, meaning they're a record pool, but they do everything the way a record pool is supposed to do it. The job of a record pool is to promote new releases by labels. So a record pool isn't supposed to have old music. That's not the job of a record pool. It's a promotion tool for labels to promote their new releases. That's what they're there to do. So I see the complaint from that person was like, he used to use BPM Supreme, but they started to delete songs. That's because they probably want to keep it legit, stay legit, go legit. And DJ City had even less. Well, that's the reason why. So for people, there's always people here asking in the chat, like not Henry, but a lot of people ask for the best record pool for throwbacks. You're probably going to see less of that because it's just not what the record pools are supposed to be doing. Beyond that, like I don't know what the best record pool for hip hop and R&B actually would be because I haven't done a comparison between record pools in a long time. So I don't know what each of the record pools is currently offering. I just know even if they take out all of the throwbacks, y'all still have it way better than we did like in the vinyl days when we had record pools. If you were part of a record pool in the vinyl days, you would pay. Some DJs would pay. Other DJs would just be on the list and get it for free. But what it meant was that every month you would just get a stack of the latest promo vinyl. You didn't know which artists were going to be in there because it all depended on which artists had a release coming. So you didn't know what you were going to get. You just got a stack of records, new promos. Sometimes like half of it was just something you didn't like at all. Sometimes you got lucky and there were like a lot of good jams in there. But that was it. Nowadays, you join a record pool and you can at least download everything that they have in their archive at that moment. And that's still going to be a lot of music. But hey, which controller is better, Rev 7 or Rain 1? I can't say which one is better. I can only tell you my preference, and my preference is 1000% the DDJ Rev 7. And that is because of the layout, the way it's put together. It's perfect for me. I don't know if any one of you, some of you were here on Monday. At a certain point, I had this brain fart. I was mixing, and I went over to grab something out of frame. I walked out of frame, and I saw the S7 that I have in the studio. I can't call it my S7 because it's still Pioneers, but I saw the S7, and it confused the hell out of me. I looked directly back at the setup, and I was like, wait, but the S7 is there. Why am I looking at it there? No, that's the S7, so that must be the reloop. No, that's not the reloop. I honestly, for a second, just forgot that I'm using the freaking Rev 7. The mixer section feels so much like that S7 that my brain couldn't comprehend why my S7 was there while I was just using it. That's how much that Rev 7 reminds me of my S7 or of the S7. So yeah, for me, Rev 7 would be the way to go, the only way to go, because that is how I normally play. 2 turntables, S9, S7, something like that. That's the workflow I love. The paddles for the effects, the onboard effects that Pioneer has. And that Rev 7 gives me that same feel. So yeah, like I honestly had that moment of confusion. And once it dawned on me, like, dude, that's the Rev 7. You're not using a setup with a mixer. I had to slap myself out of frame for a sec. But yeah, that's my answer. Rev 7 for me. Straight Six says they don't see what goes into it. They think we just show up and play with no prep. I mean, I understand. Like I totally understand, and I feel for us that they don't value us correctly. They don't see what indeed goes into becoming a DJ, the investment you make when it comes to like just financial investment, but time, blood, sweat, and tears. But yeah, at the end of the day, they don't really care about that either. It's about the end result. I found that item. Let's see. I found that item breakdown helps on the invoice. Okay, if you can explain more, please do. You're just talking about the equipment that you bring, or because it depends. Like if you're doing mobile gigs, then you're bringing equipment. Then you could actually have an invoice that like lists everything you bring. If I'm being booked, most of the times it's just to come play at a venue, and then I'm not bringing much more than myself and maybe like phase, sometimes a mixer. But I understand. Smydro says send price quote, they agree or not. Yeah, that's my thing. Like I'm not there to convince. Now, of course, I'm willing to give you like a little story to let you know, like, hey man, I'm gonna create a great atmosphere, make sure everything you're gonna have like quality, everything, whatever. I can give you a little sales pitch, but that's gonna be a very little sales pitch because I'm not in the job of like convincing people. I'm not a salesman in that way. Klaus says you could also use a reverb with a long tail if you want to do a transition between tracks that have like a vastly different BPM. So yeah, that is also something you could do, like a long, good reverb. Let it breathe for a second, then bring that new track in. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, Carolina Sneakerhead, one thing that really helps when you do the transition switch, the BPM switch, and you go to that other BPM, make sure the new track, the new vibe you're bringing in, it starts with a song that the crowd is familiar with. That makes up for a lot. Like a lot. Even if you like totally just stop in one track, you might shock them for a second, but if you bring in a track they really like, they're gonna forgive you really, really quick. Straight Six says a 4-hour gig is an 8 to 10 hour day. They don't see the prep. Yeah, for real, it is. Nara says on the subject of what to charge, I'm only 1 year in and I'm learning myself, still searching for answers, learning the business side of things. It is something that you have to learn, and that path is different for all of us as well. I mean, I remember the first time I was like asked, like the first gigs I did, the first paid gigs I did were gigs where they just had a budget, and I didn't even care about that. I got to play in my first venue, and they were paying all the DJs the same amount. It wasn't a lot, but I could go to the record store the next day and buy some vinyl, so I was just totally content with that. At a certain point, I got to a place where someone wanted to book me, someone I didn't know, and then I received that question like, so how much do you charge? I'd never given that any thought. So at first, that's a shocker, and you have to give that some thought. And I've probably done some gigs in the beginning where I didn't charge what I should have charged. And at a certain point, you learn and you experiment. And sometimes it takes some guts to go up in price, because in the beginning you're afraid that if you ask more, you're afraid of that rejection that you might get. But that's all part of the process as well. Let's see. People are willing to pay for what they value, so maybe they just don't value to having a DJ at their event. No, but that's the thing. They don't value the DJ a lot of times. That's what I said. Like a lot of times when people are organizing, especially if they're not like professional organizers, and you have those a lot. Like if people have a company event, they'll assign someone to arrange everything. That's not a person who's used to booking artists and doing stuff like that. They don't know. And a lot of times DJs and music are like at the bottom of that list. And then they just don't value you for what you are. El Vato in the building, salute. Favorite golden age song for you? I was just thinking about this the other day. Not about which song, but about the fact that I do not have favorite songs. Sounds weird. Let me rephrase. I have too many favorite songs. I always find it terrible when people want me to list like a top 5 or top 10, because anytime I get into that golden age and I start to listen to songs, I run into so many songs that are like just mean so much to me. That there's songs that give you that special feeling, and I have a lot of those. So I definitely do not have a favorite golden age song. Couldn't even say like I have 5 favorite golden age songs. Couldn't even say 10, because there's so many of them, and they're like my kids. I don't want to pick, and luckily I don't have to. That's the dope thing. In the past, I always tell my customers what they're being charged for. And it's as follows: how many hours, the location where I have to travel to, how much equipment I have to bring. So, George Mike, I feel you. And like I said, that works for mobile DJs. I think that is a perfect part of it, because you can really start to list. That's a little bit different for me when I'm just coming to a club. Of course, I have travel expenses, but beyond that, I'm charging for the DJ service. The equipment and everything is there. I'm coming in, I'm playing my set, and then I'm done. If you are a mobile DJ, like there's so many extra hours even. Like even when you're done playing, you still have to pack everything again, and you should definitely list all of that. So Brain, yeah, I saw your name come by already. And now I'm at that. So I'm like 30 minutes behind. I'm running way behind today. Last couple of weeks I was pretty on point. I caught up pretty quickly, but yeah, not today. So Mixmaster G says the same thing. Specification of the cost makes it more insightful. The event requires special preparation. That's specified at 2. Another way is base free and surplus based on the number over guests. Yeah, I mean, okay, I get it. But again, for me, in most cases, there's not much I can specify. In regards to pricing, I wouldn't do haggling with people. It's just the offer, and let them know it's the experience, equipment, and investment you've made into your rig. Pay for what you get. Truth, Charlie Apple. I feel that. And yeah, Brain, the crates were killing to carry. Yes, those vinyl days. DJ Fanatic, what up? AC1 Music, I see you. Mixmaster G on OBS question. Mac OS and Windows have different file path. And audio interface and camera might have different designations. So that will never work. Now, the thing is, like, I understand, like, even if I have to fix the audio and video, that's not the biggest issue. But like, for instance, in my scenes, most of the stuff in my scenes is URL based. So that is not something that has to do with the specifics of the computer. So if there was a way to just export that, I think there is. I think I've actually once seen something like that, how you could like export, scene collection. You can export your scene collection. I have to do a little experimenting with this, because I don't mind if I have to, like, for instance, set up this Like if I'm in the studio, I'm running through the A10 Mini Pro with all of the professional cameras. If I'm here, I'm on an old webcam. If that's set up, that's set up, and that takes a second. Like video capture, click, it sees the webcam, done. Audio, it sees the NT mini, and done. But having the rest, now I had to go around with logos. The chat app wasn't really working. If I can just have all of that just entered straight away, that would be great. How long have you been DJing? I would say it's probably like 20. I say 28, but it's actually not true. It's longer. It's closer to 30. Let's say 30 years ago, I got my first DJ set. Yeah. So probably 2 years later, I was doing like gigs already. So that's 28 years now. What's the difference between the Nexus 2 and CDJ 3000? Are there a lot of differences? Nogmaals bedankt. Waardeer het enorm. And that last part, a lot of you won't understand. But that's basically just thanks. So there's a substantial difference between the Nexus 2 and the CDJ 3000. The jog wheels have been totally revised. They're new. They feel incredible. I love the Nexus 2 jog wheels. CDJ 3000 for me is on a different level. They feel so much better. I feel the entire system is snappier, faster on the 3000 compared to the 2000. The screen is better. It is an improvement, that's for sure. I need to get those back again to play a little bit more. And Leonzo said, when DJs read the crowd, how do they know how old the people are? I mean, you're not going to know their exact age, but let's be honest, you can have an idea. You like broadly, you should be able to tell the difference between 18-year-olds, people are like closer to their 30s, and like a 40 plus crowd. You should at least be able to see the difference between that. You know, like if it's a 40 plus crowd, then we're dealing with like just an older crowd. Calling myself older now, but it is what it is. An older crowd for clubbing. 25, 30 definitely looks more mature than the 18-year-olds. The 18-year-olds are kids, man. They're kids. So you're not going to know exactly. And sometimes it's a mix of everything. But if you take a look at a crowd, let's say if it's like really if it's packed with 18-year-olds, you're going to just be able to see it and feel it. It's going to have a different vibe compared to when you have more mature people in there. Venencia, what up, what up? Let's see. Oh, Mixmaster G is giving the same answer. It's two different players, but it's not like you can one can do things the other can't. Yeah, of course. Yeah. The cue pads are also a major difference. But yeah, I mean, of course, you can do the same thing with both. The 3000 is just an improvement. Take a moment, mindfulness. Yeah, not now. Ask the top 3 tips to avoid a bridezilla moment. I got a few potential wedding gigs. All right, chat, let's help Nighthawk out here. For the simple fact that I can't. I've done 3 weddings in my life, and they were not like your regular weddings. So this is not my cup of tea. Major respect to wedding DJs and mobile DJs because it's a lot of work. It covers way more ground than club DJs do. But no, I haven't had to deal with that. Like the brides I've dealt with were people I actually knew. So that's a totally different scenario. But in the chat, if you know, help Nighthawk out. How to avoid that bridezilla moment. At my events, I usually don't bring lighting. Do you think it's necessary that I should invest? Or just let my performance speak for itself? Well, I mean, you're talking about the mobile DJ realm. I think having lighting is a part of that. But again, that's something that we should check in the chat. But I think so. Like when people, for mobile DJs, a lot of times people are booking someone for the entertainment. So if they book you but then they find out that they have to now get lighting from somewhere else. Chances are, if they looked up a couple of DJs and they see that the other DJ also has lighting, chances are they're going to go for the DJ with the full package instead of just audio and the DJ. Now, of course, word of mouth could help you out. If you're great at those parties, then maybe that will help you out a bit. But I think lighting, if you're going the mobile DJ route, I think you need everything. But again, maybe people in the chat can help out with that one as well. Have you run into the problem of having too many crates? What's the right balance for you in terms of crates? I mean, I've been saying this for like a couple of years, and I'm still working on it. But I want to actually decrease the amount of songs I bring. So that would also mean decreasing the amount of crates. Having too much just doesn't really work for me. It hasn't been a major problem, and I'm not talking about too many crates, but more about having too much music in your crates. Because sometimes you end up in that scroll realm because you're blanking for a moment, you don't know what to play next. If there's like hundreds of tracks in a crate, but you're just not feeling it for a sec, then hundreds of tracks is not going to help me. I'd rather have a smaller selection. Pick one of those. And again, for me, it's more about getting into tagging songs more properly and working with smart crates that allow me to just find songs that I want to find at that particular moment. So that is what I'm looking for. Getting music out, because I have music in the DJ collection that I've never played in or haven't played in 20 years, 15, 20 years. There's no need for me to bring it. I'm just not playing it. So either just not have it in there anymore or just have everything tagged in a way that my smart crates are going to get me through. For DJing, would you say that a Mac is better or Windows? No, I just talked about that today. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter, especially for DJing, because DJ software is not that taxing on a computer. So if you have a computer, a Mac or Windows computer with some decent specs, your DJ software is going to run just fine, unless if you want to use that one DJ software out there that only works on one platform, then you would need to have a computer that runs on that platform. Otherwise, you're good with both. You really are. When I say too many crates, I mean the software becomes noticeably slower. I mean, if you're in that phase, then you really need to clean up the computer. Yeah. And I mean, some people just bring too much. How many songs should a DJ have? I have 480. I don't know. Kind of depends. How long do you play? How many times do you play? If you're doing 5 gigs a week, playing 6 hours per set, you might want to have some more music. Otherwise, it's going to be really repetitive. If all of those 480 songs are really playable songs, then you'll never do a gig where you're playing 480 songs. It depends. Some DJs play one genre. Some DJs play 10 genres. If you play 10 genres, you're most likely going to need more music because you need music from all 10 genres. So there's no answer for that. You need to find out what works for you, what you feel comfortable with. If you ever have the feeling that you're missing tracks, then maybe you need more tracks, or maybe you need to get your collection organized better. Maybe there's songs in there you never play. Get them out. Get the songs you want in there. And that takes time. To build your collection takes time. That's not something you can just bang, you start DJing and all of a sudden you have this incredible collection of music. What do you think is missing in the clubs these days, music-wise? Atul, honestly, I have no idea. I haven't played in clubs in 2 years. I've been in a club in 2 years once with Brainpower that was in the chat during ADE. We had 1 gig in the club. I don't know. I have no idea what the current club scene is. I mean, in our part of the world, especially here in the Netherlands, we haven't had this. The party scene has been dead. So I honestly can't tell you. It's now finally getting to a point that we're opening up again and clubs are actually going to be able to probably stay open, that everything can start up again. But it's been dead here. Does the Newmark, Seppa, what up, man? Does the Newmark NV2 work with Rekordbox? Can't find it anywhere. Or do you have an idea? I actually don't know. But you should be able to find that on a site. Now, look, in the most cases, you can use any controller with DJ software because they're just MIDI controllers. And if it's not made for it, most likely you can map it. Sometimes you do need to have certain hardware to unlock software features. In this case, I'm not familiar. Let's see. Okay, so Mixmaster G says it's a Serato controller. Might be a mapping for Rekordbox, but they don't work as well as Serato does. Yeah. So okay, I hope that helps you out. All right, so yes, indeed. I mean, the 90 BPM is running and intended to mix to 100 BPM or higher at the end of the course of the 90 BPM track. However, perhaps this isn't the right timing to do the mix. Well, not on the 4, no. If you're going to do a transition, then it has to be earlier. You're going to have to do it during the course or just bring it in on the one after the course. That's probably the best way to go about it. Like if you have that 90 BPM track playing, let it play through the chorus. If it's a track they know and they sing along, you can even take the fader down, let them sing the last sentence of the chorus, and then just bring in your new song. That's probably the best way to go about it. Let's see. Klaus says Rob Swift also called out DJ Lady Style, but she didn't fake it. He also had beef with Flyanetic. For real? Okay, I missed this one. Why would you have beef with Flyanetic? I don't know that story. I mean, I've seen Flyanetic live. They're absolute animals on the decks. Like, they are really good. So I don't know what that beef was about. So maybe Rob just overall has a beef with like DJs using edited versions during routines. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the backstory is. But yeah, it's not a great look if you call someone out for being fake when they are not faking it. And I mean, I see things a lot of times I won't comment. Most of the time because I'm just not totally sure. And also because I don't feel it's really worth my time because it's not going to help. It's not going to help a lot. So for instance, one thing I can share here, like you have a lot where you have a few kid DJs, young DJs, mostly girls, that post like short routines, short mixes. And I think it's dope. It's dope to see like young kids being involved in DJing. And a lot of them have actual skills, some more than others. But it's not like they don't know how to DJ. They're either getting there or they're already pretty good. But the one thing I really don't like, and I think the parents are doing it, is that all of those DJs do these incredibly cringy, fake moves in between the DJing. Like they're all being taught like, hey, once you do something after that, you have to stand there and do this with your hands. And it all looks really fake and cringy because you can tell they're doing it because they feel that's what you need to do. But I'm not going to comment on that because it's not worth me commenting on that, leaving any type of negativity for those kids because I don't feel they're not hurting anyone with that. It's something that bothers me when I see it, but I wouldn't comment on it. Now, and if I see someone faking it, obviously faking it, I'll probably either just laugh about it, but I don't really feel the need to call it out. Same thing with a lot of the DJs that you see that have taught themselves or learned that when you're DJing, you have to totally over exaggerate every time you touch a knob. So anytime they touch a knob, their hand goes like this far in the air because everyone has to see that they're touching their mixer. And it looks ridiculous. But I don't need to comment on that. My life is in its own place. If your life's not in a good place, maybe you feel that you have to send out a lot of negativity. It's not necessary. Not necessary. At least I feel it's not necessary. Hey, Costa Rica, what's going on? Salute to you. Let's see, how far behind am I? Damn, I'm not catching up. Well, we got 40 minutes left, so we'll probably make it before then. Let's see. This might be controversial, but why do DJs spend so much time critiquing other DJs instead of perfecting their own style? There's this talk about push button DJs, etc. But if the guy's playing pleasantly and not pretending to do something they're not, why should it matter? Well, actually, this falls perfectly in line with what I was just talking about. I think, in general, if people find the need to uh, leave a lot of negative comments, most likely they're going to be in a negative space themselves. Otherwise, I don't understand it either. Some DJs are just caught up in their ways, and whenever they see a laptop or DJ pushing a cue button, they automatically feel that it's not real because they've just convinced themselves that if it's not a DJ playing with vinyl, then it's not a real DJ. But that's, I mean, we should be past that in 2022. So it's not controversial, but yeah, to me it has to be that they're not in a great space themselves. I couldn't see myself like spending time like doing that for a lot of DJs, especially if we're talking about push buttons and whatever. Aw says chicks behind a DJ set with spirit fingers floating around really bothers me. I don't even. Yeah, Sweet Talk says it. I don't know what spirit fingers are, or is it something like this? That's probably what you're talking about, right? Um. All right. So let's see. Mixmaster G says according to some DJs that fake it are poisoning the craft. Personally, I think this is a very old problem that has plagued the industry since the compact audio tape made an entrance to the DJ booth. Yeah, so I can understand that people might see it that way, like it's ruining it for the other DJs. But um, I don't know. I'm just of the belief that another person's action doesn't have an impact on what I do. Even if a person like that would get a ton of bookings from faking it, it still doesn't really affect me because if people are willing to book a person like that instead of booking me or someone else, and that's just what it is, and I wasn't supposed to be playing there anyway. Black Bastard, what's up? So they were line dancing to your scratches. Oh yeah, that's going back to that. Yeah, I mean the country thing was fun though, but that was only during their dinner. After that, I got to play different music. But yeah, I did sneak in a couple of cuts during the country music session. Hey Vest, what up? Thank you, Lionel Touch. Like, why or what? How? If you're a turntablist or a special type of DJ, that guy that's cheating shouldn't affect you, given you have your style. People understand, appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of times I don't categorize myself in the same lane as those DJs anyway. So, like I said, what they do doesn't affect me. Diesel Monster, salute. Ever done a New Year's club collab with other DJs? Yeah, sure. I mean, I've done played plenty of New Year's parties, and basically always with other DJs. I've done a couple of solo bookings at New Year's, but a lot of times it was with other DJs that I work with a lot. Um, so yeah. Hey, DJ Mario checking in. I see you. I see you. The songs that don't start on the one. Prince, I want to be your lover. Oh, that one's simple. That's just the snare drum before the one. That's just tack, and then dun, 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 the beat begins. So I think that's actually just on a four. 2, 3, dun, 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 I think that's just on a four. Um, Justin Timberlake, "Sexy Back." You have that little, that little sound, boop, 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 boom, boop, boop, boom, and that's I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Boop, boop. Yeah, that's a half count. That's a half count before the one. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, half counts are in between. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There it comes in on that half count. That is something you just figure out by trying it. BPM Supreme is good. Beat Junkies record pool is really dope. Yeah, I've used Beat Junkies before. They had a nice hip hop selection indeed. Franchise, I've used Franchise years ago, but I don't know how it is now. Mofire says it's hip hop heavy. Uh-huh. Okay, so we have a couple of suggestions there. BPM Supreme, my MP3 pool, heavy hits record pool, franchise record pool, Be Junkies. Uh-huh. Bitter X says the best record pool for throwbacks, Pirate Bay. Let's see. Diesel says it's also legality purpose. Some songs get pulled from certain record pools just because of cease and desist. Yeah, but like I said, that's the whole point. Like a record pool, the legit record pools are only promoting the new releases from labels, and they'll have an agreement, a license to have that track on their website for a specified amount of time. So I don't know if that's like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. But like a lot of times people want throwbacks. So they're looking for like songs from the 90s or early 2000s in 2022. It wouldn't make sense for a record pool to actually have that. So that's why I also heard that some record pools are starting to delete songs. Sometimes it's because they want to make sure that they can now work with the labels legally, or because maybe they receive some of these cease and desist lawsuits. Klaus has a tip right here. Cheap way to get old school hip hop is buy secondhand CDs. Most people collect vinyl rather than CDs, so the prices are low. And I've done that in the past. The only issue now is we're beginning to get into an era of CD-less computers, because I used to buy, like I would buy these like double or four CD compilation CDs of certain genres that I didn't have a lot of music of, and I could just rip those on the computer. I currently do not have a computer anywhere that has a disc drawer in there. No option to like rip CDs. So that's the only problem now. Wait, my sandwich was good. Oh wow, that early? DJ Paris from Texas in the building. Salute, I see you. Chris on the mix said TLM had a Twilight Zone moment with the Rap 7. Yeah, for real. For real. DJ Z, I see you. Salute, salute. And let's see, DJ Jebber. And let's see, DJ Tunda in the building from Wales. So salute to you, neighbor. I mean, it's not that far. Big V in the building. Then we have Leonzo with the same question, but we already answered that one. Costa Rica says, I really don't like the what are your top whatever songs, artists questions. Yeah, I mean, some people just have a top five that they'll also always mention. Like what are your top five MCs? Especially when we're talking about hip hop, that's one that comes up a lot. Like your top five MCs, which would probably even be an easier question to answer compared to top five favorite songs or albums. Because if you have favorite artists, most likely you'll have more of their albums that you really like. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of those questions either. Garrick three stacks, Slick Rick, I see you. Salute to you, and welcome to my humble home setup. Normally I'm in the studio, but today you'll catch me on the webcam edition. How often do you think we should put mixtapes out? I try to upload them to Mixcloud every week. Is that a bit much? And what is your approach to constructing your mixtapes? And do you stay in a certain tempo? If you're making mixtapes to promote yourself, you definitely don't need a new mixtape every week, at all. So yeah, I would say that's probably way too much. Now, if you just enjoy doing it and it works for you, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. But if it's a stressful thing to keep up, or if it's taking up a lot of your time, you should definitely not do that. That is, you don't need that. Like even having like just a couple of good mixes on there that actually represent what it is you do is enough for the promotional purpose. Now, on top of that, if you just like to add new mixes over time, or because you're building up a fan base and you have more followers and you want to keep them content and coming back, then having new mixes there is dope. But every week that's a lot. That is a lot. Now, my approach to constructing mixtapes is that I'll start with just an idea of what I want to do. Is it a specific genre, specific theme? Once I know that, then I'll start to make a song selection. And the song selection is going to contain more songs than I'll actually end up using. So I just want to make sure I have plenty of songs. Now, I do not stay in a certain tempo, but I will probably try to ride the BPM a little bit. And what I mean in this case by riding is not, what I mean by that is that I'll most likely start at a certain BPM and work my way up. I don't want it to be like a zigzag thing up and down too much. But then again, sometimes I might have to do a switch and go from one tempo to something that is completely different. And maybe after a couple tracks go back. But a lot of times with my mixtapes, I do have kind of consistency going up. And I record my mixes on a track by track basis. So I'm not recording my whole mix live. That's not a mixtape for me. That's a live mix. And I already do that because I have reruns of my live streams. All right, on OBS again, then indeed you should be able to share the OBS preferences stored in the folder between library application support, OBS Studio, macOS, the hidden folder to app data Windows. So I'm going to copy that real quick. Mixmaster G. Put that in my Evernote so I can look back at that later. So I'm just doing that on the side. And what do you think of the Numark NS7 Mark 1? I love it. That's what I'm running with drum and bass. Daniel, I have an NS7 Mark 1. I've had a lot of fun with that one. A lot of gigs, tours, and I still have it. And it's a beast. If I could, I would rather have a Mark III because it is just a better overall workflow with the improved cue points, the capacitive touch, EQ, and everything. But yeah, NS7, I mean, it's a tank, and I've had a ton of fun with that one. So I love the NS7. I love the NS7. Where's my Evernote? Okay. I don't see my Evernote net. Okay. For must-have tunes before the wedding. Okay, so maybe someone will answer that for you. Again, I'm not the wedding. I am not the wedding guy, so I have no idea. I'm quickly just gonna copy that Mixmaster G comment just so I can find it later. Note. Come on now. Yes. All right. Sean Swift, salute to you. DJ Specialist, salute to you. I see a Bridezilla tip. Timelines help. It gives them peace of mind. I can totally understand that. Lighting tips, yes, and lights. How do you feel about the term open format to characterize a DJ? Ray Vegas asking. The only problem, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but there's like here in the Netherlands, we didn't use open format, but at a certain point, there was a term that you saw and heard quite a bit, and that was eclectic. And basically, it kind of means that you're a DJ who plays everything, right? But then again, I've heard a lot of those eclectic or open format DJs, and they play hip hop and R. I've called myself an open format DJ for quite some time. In bios, not really in person, but in bios, because I just didn't want to have the label of just being like a hip hop DJ, because I played hip hop, R&B, dancehall, new jack, swing, soul, funk, Sometimes a little bit of house. I mean, I can. It depends on the party. UK garage, you name it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a hip hop R&B DJ who just plays certain genres along with that. So I don't call myself an open format DJ anymore. But a lot of people were using the term, and then when you check out their sets, they might start with like two, three hip hop tracks, and then they go into house, and at a certain point they'll play Nirvana, and that makes them open format. I'm like, eh. So if you're gonna call yourself like an open format DJ, then it should really be that anything goes, and that DJ will take it in any direction. So I don't have a problem with the term. I just see people use the term loosely. Vinyl Richie says the club is missing. Yeah. Flipside says you can have a whole collection if you subscribe to BeatSource. True. Well, the fact is you don't have the collection. So that's the only difference. Like with DJ pools, record pools, you can download the songs that they have in their archive, and then you just have them on your computer to use whenever you want to use them. And with BeatSource, you only have access to the music as long as you're subscribed. But when you have a subscription, you'll have more music than any DJ pool could ever offer. For the people who tune in on Monday, you could see that. Like, I didn't want to go Valentine's edition, but I made it a love edition. So what I did for Monday's live stream, I used BeatSource because it was the first of the month. That's a BeatSource edition. Then I used BeatSource to play, even though I use BeatSource more often for the live streams. But using BeatSource, I went to beatsource.com. In the search bar, I just typed in love. And I was like, I'm going to go with tracks that have love in the title. Now, with the results, I went for 100 results per page, and I got like 11 or 1,300 pages, all with 100 results. You do the math. So I had to actually just add a couple of filters, just go for hip hop R&B, still got over 300 pages. Then I added a BPM filter just between like 85 and 100, still ended up with a lot of pages. I didn't even go past, I think, like 8 or 10 pages, but so much music. And I played music from 2022, and I played music from 1955. So no DJ pool on the planet can compete with the amount of music you can get when you use BeatSource. But again, the only difference is you only have access to the music as long as you're subscribed. And after that, as soon as your subscription stops, you won't have access anymore. Real Kev, I'm late. It's 20 minutes ago, more than 20 minutes ago, but I appreciate that raid. So salute to you. Shout out to Real Kev in the chat, hopefully still. And let's see. Anthony Q. It doesn't work with Rekordbox. All right. Tried. So Vinyl Richie says you're better off with a DJ pool rather than a paid streaming service like BeatSource. So that's the thing. I wouldn't say better off. That all depends. If you need that record pool to build your collection, that helps you build your collection. But there's a lot of DJs out there that have a collection. So BeatSource is basically just that extra supplement, that music supplement that allows you to have access to anything. So for me personally, I have a large music collection. I have a lot of music, like a lot. Still a lot that I haven't even properly sorted for DJ use. But I have a ton of music. I can have that, use BeatSource as my supplement because it allows me to take all sorts of new tracks I don't have, certain old tracks that I don't have, tracks that I just don't want to search for at the moment. And if there's a song in there that I don't have in my collection, then I can just either buy that song or I'll join a DJ pool. I mean, I have a DJ pool subscription. I have DJ City. And most likely I can find that track there. But again, there's no DJ pool that can offer you the same amount of music. But it depends on what your goal is. So that's the thing. Like if you want music, yeah. Let's see. Vinyl Richie says BeatSource is okay, but having to load a track twice for it to analyze and add the auto gain is whack. Add the auto gain. Okay, yeah, I that's one thing I always turn off straight away. I never want to have the DJ software doing anything to adjust volume. So I never use auto gain. Having to load it twice before it analyzes. I don't think that's well, no, when you load it, it comes with the metadata, but that data isn't always 100% accurate. My thing is when I'm playing with Beat Source, most of the tracks that I'll be using are already in a playlist because I'll make a playlist with just a bunch of songs off Beat Source that I might use during the live stream. So I'm not searching on Beat Source while I'm doing my stream. That's not how I use it. Now, maybe if I would get a request somewhere for a song that I don't have, I'll load that song. If I have to double load to analyze it, then I do that. But for me, that doesn't happen a lot because I'll make a playlist, then I'll open Serato, take the songs from those playlists, just drag them into analyze, and like a minute later, everything is analyzed. Let's see. Real Cash, there's a lot of fake DJs out there. Never bought any records in their life. Converting YouTube tracks in 128 kilobytes per second. Yeah, most definitely you have them. Sergio, I appreciate that sub. And DJ Jebber, I appreciate that sub. Much love. Much love. And Sven is in the building as well. What's up? What's up? What's up? Guten Abend. Uh-huh. Sean Swift. Yes, yes. Sven, yes, I'm fine. DJ Miss Kid in the building. What's good? My 10 years old DJ, a 10-year-old girl DJ on Twitch with me. Nice. Nice. When? When are you streaming? And Vess, were you handing out subs again? Yeah, you were handing out subs again, weren't you? Love, love, love. Flip side, out of the blue with 50 Cent in the club is not on the one. Yes. You have a couple of those tracks that have that first drum is like that timing is so sneaky. And I've seen DJs actually struggle with that song and with other songs because if you drop that first drum on the one, yeah, that snare is not going to come in on the two. I know. That timing is just a little bit off. Mixmaster G says a lot of Timberland productions are not on the one. I'm thinking right now. I can't think of a lot of examples. Like Timberland has came with that really really not exclusive but unique timing in his drums. So not a lot of people at that time were doing a drum pattern where you would have like a couple of kicks in a row and then that snare out on the two, like all of a sudden have that boom 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 ka boom boom ka. That was new, but that first kick is still just a one, even though the rest of the pattern is different. So I'm trying to think of Timberland productions that are not on the one because you say a lot of Timberland productions are not on the one. I, at the moment, cannot think of a single one, though. But I'm sure there's one. But like I said, it's more that the timing of his drums is different. But a lot of his tracks do start on the one. But probably if you name an example, I'll be like, oh, yeah, for sure. Team EVGA in the building. Salute, salute, salute. You're probably not on anymore because a lot of times I think you stream right after me, right? I've always wondered how two DJs can scratch and mix at the same time without tripping over each other. Do they practice beforehand or some sort of meld technique? I think it's a bit of both because I've done this with DJs, but it's always been like an impromptu thing. Like we were just DJing normally, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, one of us would grab like a drum and start to do beat cuts. The other would grab the other deck, start to do scratches. I'm doing beat cuts on the up fader, and at the same time the other DJ just grabs the crossfader and the other deck starts to scratch. But a lot of times if DJs do more extensive routines, then most likely it has to be prepared. But yeah, man, you can, if you're used to this, to working the decks, then yeah, you can make it work with two as well. Positive P was good. So Team EVGA, are you going up? Are you going live in a minute? Gaming again? It's something I wanted to start doing at a certain point as well because my oldest son is doing a lot of gaming and does streaming, like just game with him. But I haven't had any time to game. If I do it now, I would get beaten extremely bad at any of the games he plays. Uh, 50 Cent sounded a bit out of breath during the halftime show, though. Well, he was hanging upside down the first part, right? Terrence Miller was good. Let's see. Check out an FTP-based pool. Join for a month. Download everything. I'm not going to comment on that. Sounds illegal as hell, but hey, man, we've all been there. The only problem with download everything is, and I've done this in the past just on record pools as well as other sources. Download everything is not the greatest tactic to build a collection because you end up with so much music. Like I said, I have a very large collection. It's going to take a lot of time and effort to really sift through everything and sort it out. So downloading everything is, yeah, that's the downside of downloading everything. Vinyl Touch, so you can buy an external DVD writer for ripping. Yeah, I know, of course, but I'm not. That would only make sense if this was something I would still do on a regular basis. Like if you're gonna just buy a couple of CDs one time or twice, I don't know if that's worth buying an external DVD writer, even though you can probably get them pretty cheap. But yeah, you would have to invest in that to make that work. But for sure, you can definitely do that. Do you think it's worth it to buy the newest or relatively newest gear as a beginner scratch DJ with minimal controller experience to grow into rather than something basic and less expensive? CWY Mad. See why you're mad, I think. Worth it. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people who start out don't really know how serious they're going to be. And I'm always afraid for people, I fear for people who go out and make a large, pretty hefty investment in the beginning, only to find out maybe a couple of months later that it's not really their thing. And then you have to sell it, probably at a loss. So, I mean, but as a beginner scratch DJ, so you're talking about buying a turntable setup or a controller. I think that's important as well. Okay, so Costa Rica says people sell throwback packages of MP3s on Etsy. So illegal as can be. Let me just mention that, but go for it. But did it a few times. Wasn't disappointed. Wasn't the best. I was okay with what I received, but it wasn't the best quality wise, or just the tracks that were in there. I see some DJs do that. I see some DJs openly promote how they sell packages, and I truly don't understand how that works. Because like I said, that is not legal. You're not allowed to do that as a DJ. But I've seen DJs offer like entire wedding packages and stuff. But yeah. Darnell, salute to you. And Pete Nice is asking, what's the best headphones for DJing? I don't know. Like I've seen a ton of DJs with different preferences. There are a lot of good DJ headphones out there. I've had a bunch of different ones that I still prefer the most, like the Sennheiser HD25, my Pioneer HD 2000 Mark II, HDJ 2000 Mark II. I'm currently using the IIIs, not here, my DJ headphones, the III TMA2, if I'm not mistaken. They all work great. I've used a pair of Urban Ear Zinc, I think, headphones. I'd never heard of the brand, but they were a gift during an Amsterdam Dance Event edition like 5 years ago. And I wore them out like totally. Loved them. They had kind of the similar look to the Sennheisers and the III headphones. But then again, I know a lot of DJs that'll use Beats by Dre, V Modas, Sony's. So it's really a preference thing. You need to try out some headphones, see which one feel right for you. Do you want over ear, on ear? Make sure they have enough volume. What kind of do you want? Straight or a coil type of cable? So there's no best. There's no best at all. Cold Switch, I appreciate that follow. Colossus, I see you. Salute. Mofire said I had to rebuild my library because I used illegal characters in my metadata called emojis. Oh man. Serato no longer sees my playlist from iTunes and I can't export my iTunes library. Maybe Mixmaster G can help you out, and I would, yeah. I see you already answered. ASB in the building, salute. And what else is missing? Did I miss a comment by did I miss a comment by CT by TCZ? What did I miss? I see some people commenting, but I don't know the original comment. So maybe I missed something. I'm gonna leave that to y'all. I see y'all having that discussion right there. Say what I feel, Dre was good. What DJ brands have driver that is compatible with M1? I purchased a new M1 laptop only to find there's no Numark drivers. I mean, I think there are plenty of controllers that will work with the M1. But I don't know which ones will and which ones won't. But for instance, I've used the Rev 7 and Rev 1 on an M1. Like in the studio, I use a Windows computer. But when I first had them, this was before the release. The only version of software that was available was Mac version. So I had to bring my home Mac Mini, and that's an M1 Mac Mini. And those both worked fine. There should be plenty of controllers that work because, I mean, I know, but wait, like a lot of times for controllers, driver, yeah, I don't know. Can't answer it for you. I just know that most of the software works with M1 and it's for the brands to catch up if drivers are needed. So I know the Pioneer stuff that I've used works. That's all I know, but I don't know about your specific models. Chris Clash in the building. No, Chris Clash. Let me not ruin your name here. Off-topic question. I'm here in the USA. My cousin is Virgil van Dijk. You're an Ajax fan, root for some else, or not interested in football? I do not really follow football at all. I do know Virgil van Dijk, and Ajax is my team. Amsterdam is my city. Ajax is my only team. I took a few years out of my life to just put some interest in football because I've been a basketball enthusiast, player, watcher, you name it, since I was 10 years old. That's my sport. Growing up in the Netherlands, you do play football in the street because that's what everyone plays. So I was playing football at school. As soon as I got out of school, got my play basketball. I had a season pass for Ajax in 1995. That was around the time that the new stadium, the Amsterdam Arena, at the time it was called Amsterdam Arena, was just open. And I mean, that was a great time. We had a lot of Champions League success. We had a great team at that time as well, the Jari Liedmanen days. And it was cool. And I got used to like enjoying football and watching it and the suspense it can bring. But yeah, no, I hardly follow football at all. So I wouldn't call myself an Ajax fan, but if I'm rooting for any team, it's Amsterdam all day, baby. Yes. Edward Superfly, the best video record pool. I always forget the name. You have Smash Vids and one other. Hopefully, someone in the comments will help out here as well. Um, Everything is opening from tomorrow here in Switzerland. Can't wait to see club scene this coming weekend. Hopefully in the Netherlands soon. Yeah, we're getting there. We're finally getting there. Uh, okay, so Mixmaster G, actually that answers the question. Only the recent Pioneer DJ players and mixers offer compatible drivers. Um, yeah, and that's the only ones I've tested. I was using Pioneer controller, so they work with my M1. So yeah, I guess those were the only ones. We got 3 more minutes. Damn it, am I gonna make it? We'll see. Do you prefer playing actual music files you download to your machine, or do you use the streaming service available through Serato? Both. Like for the last 6 months or whatever, I've mostly used the streaming service, mostly BeatSource. And I've done a couple of editions where I just use music from my own collection, either in Serato or because I was using devices that won't allow me to do it that way. So, for instance, I was using the XDJ RX3 standalone player with a flash drive with music I prepared in Record Box, and that's music from my own collection. But for the most, I've been using the BeatSource link in Serato and in Record Box. So, yeah, and it works great, by the way. And DJ Arch says, why no auto gain? Well, again, I do not add. I mean, I've had like just bad experience with it, and again, I do not want anyone except me to control my volume. And with auto gain, I've had it happen. I use instant doubles a lot. Like most of the times, if I've mixed a song in, the first thing I do after that is hit that instant double, so I have the same track on both sides. And with auto gain, a lot of times it would all of a sudden, when I double loaded the track, lower my gain, which bothered the hell out of me. Like I said, I do not want anyone or thing to touch my volume. It's it's almost the same feeling I've had in cars. If you're using a car and you use cruise control, if you're going straight on a highway, I guess it's fine. But anytime I had to take like a corner or like a bend, not a corner, but a bend in the road on a highway, I did not feel comfortable using cruise control. I want to have that control on the pedal. Same thing with my volume. So no. So okay, Mixmaster G, you may have a point there. Yeah, because I used it on Serato. Mixmaster G says if he would have experienced the superior auto gain of Tractor, he might think different. So I, I don't know. I've not tested that indeed. Uh huh. All right. Then Sven has a big question. How do you deal with frustration? When I practice, I get many times frustrated and I don't want anymore. I think you know what I'm talking. Um, Honestly, not really. So is the frustration coming from the fact that something is not working? So you're trying to do something and you can't get it to work? Is that where the frustration is coming from? Because I mean, I think I caught on pretty early that it can take a long time. And sometimes you have to do something 1,000 times before you get it to work. It was the same way with basketball. I will go outside and shoot. And at a certain point, you make the shot that you couldn't make at first. Or you are able to do the move that didn't work the first 900 times I tried to do it. So I don't know. Because it's something I love so much, I don't think it bothers me. To me, it's the same thing with like, it's a real strange example, maybe. For people who have children can understand. There are things in life that you don't like to do, but when it's something you have to do because it's your own baby, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. Um, I would never offer my service to change someone else's baby's diapers, but when it's your own kid, I do it like 100 times a day because it's something you love, someone you love. it's the same thing with DJing for me, like and basketball. I love it so much. Now, of course, at a certain point, if you try something like on one day, you try it like 80 times and you still can get it to go, there might be this minimal frustration, but not enough to make me say I don't want to do this anymore. But that's different for different people. So it's hard for me to give you advice. You have to find a way to work with that, see how that works for you. Maybe you do need to take a break a little bit earlier before you get to that frustration level and then get back to it. Mo Fire, I see your sub, by the way. Much love. So maybe that's the best advice I can give you. Make sure you take that break before you reach that frustration level. Let's see. Laugh now, cry later goes back to the one after the first bar. Can mess you up if you're not careful. That's why it's so important to know your music, because if you didn't know and you do that during a set, it's gonna mess you up. And UGZ says, I've been curating packs lately. It takes time, but it's worth it. Curating packs to sell, you mean? Okay, CY Mad says a turntable setup. Yeah, I mean, with a turntable setup, I think there are, I mean, the most, like the new high-end stuff is just really expensive. And at least go for, I mean, there are like more of starter kits out there for turntables. Just make sure you go for a direct drive turntable. That's the most important thing. There's not a cheap option when you go the turntable route. So, yeah, that's rough. I'm not really familiar with what the best like startup sets are for turntables. I need to look into that actually, because I can't give you proper advice on that, unfortunately. Yeah, thank you, Ves, because I said Smash Vids, but they're called Smash Vision. The other one is Extended Mix. They have video indeed. Let's see. Nima says, hey, DJ TLM, can you upload some DJ effects? How do I upload an effect? So I'm not sure what you mean. So you probably mean like just laser sounds in air horns? Is that what you mean? Because otherwise, an effect for me is something I trigger on a device, not something I can upload. I can't send you a flanger or an echo. So you probably mean that. If that's the case, no, not really. I do have some DJ tools on my SoundCloud with some scratch sounds that might fall into that category. But beyond that, no, not really. But if you just Google like free DJ effects, you should get like plenty of results on Google. DJ Mark says the V-Moda M100 just got a pair, very good. I've heard a lot of good stories about V-Moda, I just never used it. Reese with the cheer, I appreciate that. Now look, I'm 5 minutes past the time, but I'm almost caught up, so we're gonna get into that. The Etsy thing wasn't the best in terms of selection, like you said about the vinyl days. Got a lot of songs I won't use, but got a lot I do. Got you. Halil, salute to you. My pleasure. Klaus says good DJ headphones should be light and sound and good isolating from outside club noise, and of course sound reasonably good. I mean, that's your preference, but for some it might not matter if it's light or heavier. And the isolation thing, I feel you, but I mean, like most of the times when I'm DJing, this is how my headphones are. One is on, one is off. So, I mean, I'm already hearing the club sound, but of course, you do need to make sure that you have enough volume to hear what's going on. So yeah, but I get you. Let's see. Yeah, marked is on the SRT 1000 with an M1. So again, the Pioneer stuff is working. That's what I've experienced as well. DJ Mick P, I see you. Sydney, Australia in the building. Vest, see you next time. Appreciate you, man. Is Serato Play any help? I don't know. I'm not sure. Archie. And there's Leonzel again for DJing using Mac or Windows. So Leonzel, I'm going to be honest. I'm not answering again. So I'm not sure what is happening because that question was asked like 10 minutes ago. And I answered that Mac or Windows question like at least probably 30 or 40 minutes ago. So if you honestly missed that answer, you will have to go back and check the replay. Even though Klaus is now answering you, I see. But I'm not answering that again. Say what a field says. Okay, that's the driver question. That's already been answered as well. That came by a bunch of times. As says, have you used? ASB says, have you used BTune 5? Good for making playlists and analyzing. No, I don't know about that one. Sui in the building, DJ Suicide, salute. BTune 5. No, I have to look into that. I've not heard of that before. Basic as well, yeah. Direct drive is a must. If you get a turntable, get direct drive. I started on belt drive turntables. You don't want to go that route. Yeah, the RP 7000 is definitely a good turntable. Just don't know price wise if that could be considered like a starter kit type of thing. I think like Audio Technica or one of those brands has like a set of turntables that is very reasonably priced. But I need to really look into that. UGC says the packs are mostly for my close crew because we do a lot of Twitch streaming and our collections need to be clean and organized. Got you. Yeah. Mick P, appreciate that follow. Big V says for a turntable setup, the best route to go is either a set of used Technics or a new pair of Audio Technica. Yeah, the Audio Technica, that's the one I was just talking about. And a Newmark Scratch mixer. That gets you the whole package for under $1,000. The reason why I kind of frowned when you said the used Technics, the problem is a lot of the Technics turntables that are out there are going to be pretty old. And if you get them secondhand, there is just an increased risk of having like to do repairs within a recent amount of time or not like having to do repairs pretty fast. That chance is there. Like I said, the Technics SL1200s, unless you get like a newer type version, but most of the used ones are going to be older. That's the tricky part. What I don't really like about them either is the fact that everything is built in. So the power cord, the RCA cables, everything is like built into the turntable compared to like a lot of the newer turntables where you can detach it. So if there's ever an issue with cables, that's an easy fix. I've had that with my Technics, and then you have to get your whole turntable fixed. They have to open it up, change the wires and everything. So that's the only thing. But if you can get a great deal on them, it could be worth it. But yeah, the Audio Technicas, those are the ones I hear a lot of good things about. Cheap Newmark can help mix one turntable with music track 2. Better faders, Technics, Serato, that can come later. A cheap Newmark can help mix on one turntable with a music track. Well, what is a cheap Newmark though? Is there a good cheap direct drive Newmark? If that's the case, then yeah. DJ One Spot, I see you. Salute. And Ivan from Florida, I see you. Appreciate you. Carolina Sneakerhead says the same thing. V-Motors are the truth. My go-to headphones. Miguel Ram, what are your thoughts on the Reloop Elite Mixer? As I own one as well. I like it. It's just, it's every time I use it, it takes me a second to get used to it because the workflow is different compared to the Pioneer mixers that I use. I miss the onboard effects. So when I'm coming off a set with a Pioneer mixer and I get back to the Reloop Elite, and all of a sudden I have to change and get into using Serato effects, which I normally never use. I'm still not the biggest fan of the way the effects section works with that fader. Probably because I just haven't used it enough. And coming from the flappy paddles on the Pioneers and even on my Rain 72, it's always that adjustment moment. And the microphone, I don't get a good sense of the volume of my microphone when I'm in the headphones on the Elite compared to when I'm using the Pioneer mixer. Beyond that, it has everything you need for a battle style DVS mixer. That is for sure. So I try to break it out a little bit more to just get more hands-on time with it. But if I have to choose, I prefer the workflow on the Pioneer mixers. That's a fact. Let's see. Anthony Green says, if your laptop has a memory card slot or USB for thumb drive, load gem play music on that, and only load music you would actually DJ on the hard drive. You can easily eject to keep the gen music from view. Okay. Yeah, I prefer to have just all the music that I want to use on my computer or use a streaming service. DJ Mira K, salute. Hi. And Peter Benson says, I have some files. Let's see, how long is this? Okay, yeah, I'm going to quickly catch up, and then we got to leave. It's time. I have some files that seem to be analyzed in Serato, but the beat grids are not present. Is there a way to tell which songs do not have beat grids and rescan? No. No, I don't know. Is anyone answering that? No, I'm not sure, actually. I don't think you can tell in advance if a song has beat grids or not. So maybe just scan everything? Vinyl Touch, good question. I remember, I think I saw a live, it's probably Cleveland Terry who did a live stream with the people from Crate Hackers. I've seen something once and then never heard of it again, so I do not know. DJ Booters, I see you. Appreciate that follow. Yeah, so Mixmaster G, same thing. I don't remember what exactly it is that they did. Like if it was like a playlist creator thing. I've seen that interview, but that's a pretty long time ago. Hmm. Let's see, because we gotta keep it moving. DJ Reese, salute. What slip mats do you use with the Technics? Random, no specific brand. I just had a bunch of slip mats over the years that I used. I used Technics slip mats in the past. I've been using Beat Street slip mats from the record store. Doesn't exist anymore, so I have no idea what brand they used. I've used a set of Carhartt slip mats a long time. Also, like those are just generic brands with where they print their logo on it. As long as they're not thick, they'll work for me. But I've never had like a specific slip mat that I used that was my favorite. Oh yeah, and there's an Ortofon slip mat that came with my that I bought or got at the same time as I got my Ortofon S120 needles back in the days. Like, and I have a set of Vestax that came with Vestax turntables. So yeah, no preference at all. Nightlife DJ, appreciate that follow. Reese with the bits, I see you. And basic, got you. You meant the Numark mixer. I thought you were talking about like a basic turntable. Yeah, so you said the M2. That's a great price. Getting that for 80. Sumer, good question about the Audio Technica. I forgot the model name. I think it's something with 120 in the name as well. That Audio Technica. Yeah, I think it's Audio Technica something 120, but I'm not 100% sure. But there's just these. There's a lot of good turntables out there for sure. But in this case, we're talking about like getting something that's quality but still like entry level as far as price goes. But there might be other like great entry level players out there. I'm just not sure. Let's see. Jebber says, speaking as a user and lover of my Technics, you are missing nothing if you have a Rain 12. Added phase and take something away, the needle issues away. Well, I get you, but then again, if you have a vinyl collection, a Rain 12 is not going to help you. So if you just want to go full digital, then yes, you can go turntables or Rain 12s. I would still go turntables over Rain 12s, to be honest. And I have the Rain 12s, and I like them a lot. But the problem is, a lot of times if you go out to play, they won't have Rain 12s, so you'll have to bring your Rain 12s. Turntables with phase for me is the ultimate way to go. I never have to worry about tone arms and needles and anything like that. I still have my turntable feel because I'm using turntables. And anytime I want to use my vinyl, I can do that on my turntable. So that's the only drawback if you go the Rain 12 route. Aaron Ace Grind says them flaps are throwback. They just brought them back. Just these likes the butter rugs when it comes to the slip mats. Just as someone told me about it, where they do is could load up your database from Serato and it will sort through it and get rid of the duplicates and only save the files. And then also, if someone gives you a playlist for a wedding or party, you could put it into the app and it will turn around and create a playlist for you from those songs. Okay. Yeah, I need to look into that again. That could be useful in some situations, I guess. Hey, Enya. Good to see you. And Suicide had the Bomba Clat slip mats. Barkowal says, have you ever seen the vinyl recorder turn MP3 to a record? No, I don't think so. Big V, thank you. LP 120. So the Audio Technica LP 120. Disco Worm, salute. All right. DJ Polo, salute to you. All right, and Reese just picked up Phase DVS to use with the old Technics. Yeah, that's a game changer for sure. All right, I'm caught up. It took me 18 minutes longer than it should, but we're here. I made it. I want to thank you for tuning in to this special home edition of Share the Knowledge Live. It's stormy out there. Didn't have time to go to the studio. Next week, I should be back in the studio. Join me on Monday for the next episode of Crates. And if you want to talk shop again, I'll be here again on Wednesday, right? So to each and every one of you in the chat, much love. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate all the people who share the knowledge in the chat because it's not just about me. It's about a lot of the people out there have info. No, Mixed Master G. I'm not in quarantine anymore. It's just that with the stormy weather and a time restriction today, I couldn't make it to the studio. No. My quarantine is over. That's why I was in the studio on Monday doing my crates, and I'll be back there again. It was a time issue today, so thank you. But the health is all in order, for sure. All right, much love. I see all of you. Salute. See y'all next time. Peace. Close it, mute it. I'm out.